Welcome to Your Healthy Kitchen from YRMC.
Welcome to Your Healthy Kitchen. I'm your host, Rita Carey Rubin. Today, as you can see, our show is all about cooking with kale, one of the most nutritious greens you can find in the market or grow in your own garden. So kale belongs to the big family of cruciferous vegetables, which includes broccoli, cauliflower, collard greens, mustard greens, bok choy, Brussels sprouts, all types of cabbages, radishes, turnips, and arugula. And all cruciferous veggies are rich in those antioxidant nutrients that are essential for health and preventing disease. But above all, kale is king. In fact, the levels of antioxidants in kale beat out broccoli, its closest competitor, by about 2 to 1. All types of kale are also packed with cancer-fighting phytochemicals, and in test tube studies, extracts of kale have been shown to block the growth of 6 different kinds of human cancer cells. And kale also contains a good amount of fiber, calcium, vitamin C, and a bunch of other important nutrients. So there's really no doubt that kale is truly a superfood. However, it might be a challenge to figure out what to do with it. It is one of the most strongly flavored greens and can taste a little bitter to some people. Kale's flavor is actually due to all those health protective phytochemicals packed into each leaf. And in the land of leafy greens, the more nutrients a plant contains, the stronger its flavor will probably be. So if you already love kale, great, eat more of it. But if you're out there having some doubts, stay with me and I'll show you some delicious ways to enjoy these nutritious greens. An important thing to know about kale is that it loses its nutrients rapidly after harvest. So to get the biggest nutrient bang for your buck, buy freshly harvested kale at the Prescott Farmers Market and eat it within a few days. If you buy kale in the grocery store, look for greens that are bright and fresh. Yellow or wilted leaves indicate old, worn-out kale that has lower levels of nutrients and may also have a stronger, more bitter taste. And there are lots of varieties of kale, and they vary in flavor a little bit and texture. So for kale newbies, tender leaves of baby kale might be good to try, if you can find them. Like other baby greens, baby kale is milder, sweeter, and a little less chewy than the full-grown varieties. But there are lots of other different kinds of kale. So I've got some green kale here, and some red kale, and this is called Tuscan or Jacinto, or sometimes it's called Dino kale. But like I said, there's other varieties out there as well that you might see at the farmer's market especially. So one way I like to eat kale is to mix it with different greens in a salad. So different lighter flavored and lighter textured greens, other vegetables and fruit really help to tone down the strong flavor of kale. So instead of just putting the kale directly in the salad, I actually like to tenderize it a bit before I do so. So I've got some baby kale here, which is already pretty tender on its own, but we're gonna make it a little more tender by adding first a little bit of lemon juice, just a touch of salt, and then some sort of oil. So you could use olive oil for this or any kind of flavored oil that you might like. And if you have one, you could also add an avocado. So the avocado will add even more fiber and more nutrients than you would get from just the oil alone. So I am going to squeeze this little avocado onto my kale. Got a little skin in there. And then to tenderize it, get ready here. You just get in there and you massage the kale. So I am just rubbing the oil from the avocado and the salt and the lemon into these leaves of kale. And again, you're just making the kales a little more tender. And this is baby kale, so it's really pretty tender already, so you don't have to beat it up too much. And once it gets to that as tender as you like it, we'll just add it to our salad. So I've got a salad here with some butter lettuce, so real tender lettuce. I've got some red onions and some walnuts, and some strawberries. Like I said, adding a little fruit to a salad with kale really helps to balance out and tone down that flavor a bit. So we'll just toss it around. Beautiful. So you get little bits of kale, and especially if kale is new to you or your family's diet, it's a nice way to introduce it. Now, a simple oil and vinegar dressing goes really well with this salad, or you can try a slightly sweeter dressing, like this honey mustard and tarragon vinaigrette. So both the honey and the mustard tone down the strong flavors of those dark greens. Remember, the recipe for this dressing, as well as the recipes for all the other dishes featured on Your Healthy Kitchen, are available at yrmc.org. Just click on Health Connect and follow the link to Your Healthy Kitchen. So another way to prepare kale is to turn it into crispy chips. And the kale I like to use for chips is that dino kale or that Tuscan kale. So it's got a much firmer leaf, a little tougher texture, but it makes really good chips. So before we prepare our kale, we'll put a little bit of oil in a bowl. There's just a couple tablespoons of oil, olive oil here. And then I'm going to press a big clove of garlic into the oil and try to get all of that garlic in there. Even there's big chunks that fall out. Just put them all in that oil. And we'll let this sort of steep for a while and flavor the oil, because this is the oil we'll use to toss with our kale. So set that over here. And then to prepare the kale for the chips, you want to wash your kale and then make sure you dry it really well before you turn it into chips, because if the leaves are wet, when you put them in the oven to bake, the leaves will just steam and they won't get crispy. They'll still be delicious, but they won't be crispy chips. So easy way to get the leaves off of the rib of the kale is just hold on to one end and then just pull it out. Just slide your hand right down the end of the edge of the rib, and the leaf usually comes right off. And this recipe, so 2 tablespoons of oil will do for a whole bunch of kale. So we've got our leaves, and then just tear the leaves into pieces 2 to 3 inches. You don't have to do too crazy, making them super uniform or anything. So 2 to 3 inch pieces of leaf. And we're going to throw these in a bowl. And then we'll just toss the leaves with that nice olive oil and garlic blend. I also put a little bit of salt on the leaves too. You can omit it completely, but if you want just a little bit of saltiness, just add a little bit. So I'll get back in here. I think dealing with kale is a messy business. So I'm just coating these leaves with the oil. And then we'll place the leaves on a baking sheet that has a bit of parchment paper on it. And you can really pile them on here. Just make sure they're really not overlapping each other a lot, but you can really fit a good amount on a baking sheet. And yeah, keep those big chunks of garlic on there, because when they bake up, they're really good. They really flavor up the kale. So we'll take our kale and put it in a 350-degree oven for just 10 minutes. It cooks really quickly. And when it's done, it'll come out looking like this. So you can see some of those big chunks of garlic on there, and the kale chips are delicious just as they are right there. But you can also add some more flavor to the chips by zesting some lime on top. And then also put a little bit of chili powder. Tastes really good. And then toss it around and just keep it in a bowl on your counter And these are really great freshly made. It's really good to eat them almost as soon as you make them. But if you want to keep some around, just keep them in a bowl on the counter. If you put the kale chips in a bag, they tend to get kind of wilty. So you can see there are so many more ways to add kale to your diet, including making it into a delicious smoothie with a little bit of fruit to sweeten it up a bit. So in my blender here, I have half a cup of frozen mango. I have a whole kiwi fruit. And to that, I will add about a cup of chopped kale. That's about 2 leaves of kale. A tablespoon of flaxseed. So flaxseed is super good source of soluble fiber, which helps to lower your blood sugars and your cholesterol. Also a really good source of omega-3 fatty acids. And I'll also add a nice chunk of lime. This is about a third of a lime that I peeled. And about a half a cup of coconut water. And you can just use regular water as well. Coconut water just has it's a good source of potassium and some other electrolytes. Okay, and then we're going to fire her up here. And voila. So this is one of those high-powered blenders, but you can make this in a regular blender. You just might want to add a little bit more liquid to it to make it not so thick. And also if it's a little pulpy, you could strain it as well. So remember, all of these recipes and more are available at yrmc.org. Just click on Health Connect and follow the link to your healthy kitchen. So until next time, cheers. We'll see you soon.